All right. Shalom, Makim. Starts the lesson. We do want to give our praise and our glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua Bahashim Kakadash. Double one star apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us the truth. Peace and blessing to the sincere Akims. I'm the brother Uriah from the Great Millstone Miami camp. And I come back to the spirit power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Into the lesson. Okay, in this lesson, I'm going to be going into how we are to make our calling sure. Our scriptures talking about making our calling and election sure. All right. We all to understand that we were called into this thing. Okay, we were called to be prophets, called to be helped for the Lord. Okay, so we have to make our calling and election sure. Okay, we have to continually prove ourselves, man. All right, we have to finish our course. That's ultimately how we're gonna make that our calling and election sure, man. All right, putting on as the elect. All right, moving like Yahushua, trying to move like Yahushua. Okay, these things are gonna allow us to make our calling and election sure, man. All right, not so we're saying pussyfooting. Okay, with this truth. All right, we don't be scripture talking about being hot and cold, or being lukewarm. All right, the Lord wants us to be hot for Him, man. Okay, that's how you're gonna make your calling and election sure. All constantly being on fire for the Lord, and that's what the Lord want to see, man. All right, you being on fire for Him. Okay, you doing what you doing what's pleasing to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, that's what's gonna be able to make your calling and election sure. Okay, put it on as the elect. All right, there's a few things that happen with that too, man. All right, if you put it on as elect, you're gonna go through things. All right, everything is not gonna be a smooth walk in the park. Okay, you are gonna go through trials and many trials and tribulations. Okay, but within putting on as elect and make your calling and election sure, you gonna prove yourself, man. All right, you gonna fall, but you gonna get right back up. All right, you gonna move a certain way, in America, right? You're not gonna think carnality in these times, man. Okay, you're gonna apply wisdom, follow order. That's how you know. That's how you make your calling and election sure, man. Putting your best foot forward for the Lord, because the Lord want to see you put your best foot forward. Ultimately, you fighting for this thing to be saved. Okay, your spot in the chariot is not you know it's not solidified until you pass that test. Okay, but if you up the elect, you're gonna pass that test. All right, but you're gonna be doing things that a mentally elect is gonna be doing. Okay, a personal elect is gonna be doing now. All right, that's how you're gonna make your calling and election sure. Okay, but, hey brothers, I got a couple precepts lined up. Okay, Lord willing, you were edified. All right, the lesson came to me, seeing that we did have a brother pass away. All right, in our camp, and, he made his calling and election sure. He did his best thing for the Lord. He put his best foot forward. You know, for Yahweh Bashim Shai for many, many years, man. Okay, and that's a wonderful example to use. Okay, and ultimately, top example is Yahweh Shai. Okay, but even men that that we were around, that are not here anymore, that died in this truth, they made their calling and election sure. All right, use those men as examples to keep going. All right, but this is Colossians 3 and verse 12, and it says, "Put therefore as the elect of the Most High, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness, and of mind, meekness, and long suffering." Okay, put it on as the elect, man. All right, and understand that the elect are beloved of the Most High. Okay, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness, being humble. Okay, meekness and long suffering. All right, being long suffering in this thing, man. All right, that's how you put on as the elect. As the elect member. Okay, this is Second Peter 1 and verse 10, and it says, "Wherefore, wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For ye shall do these things, ye shall never fall." And that's right, man. To make our calling and election sure. Okay, sure that we be saved. All right, not not withering. Okay, not playing around with the Lord. Okay, remaining focused. All right, that's how that's how you make our calling and election sure. Okay, you gonna put on as the elect. All right, you gonna do the work for the Lord, man. You gonna have a healthy feel of the Lord. Okay, that's how you put on as the elect. You gonna go out and prophesy in the name of Yahweh Shemi Shai, in season and out of season. Okay, and that's what the Lord wants us to do. Because right now it's like we're proving ourselves, and we gotta prove ourselves to the Lord, man. We gotta fight for our salvation. Okay, it's not gonna just be us just gonna be relaxing and it's gonna be handed to us. No, we gotta fight for our salvation. We gotta fight to be saved. All right, because Scripture talking about like a time of never before. It's gonna be a great tribulation on the earth. Okay, because we're gonna have to fight for our salvation. Okay, that's how we're gonna make our calling in, in election sure. All right, this is John 15 and verse 16, and it says, "Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you, and you should go and bring forth fruit, and your fruit shall remain, and whatsoever ye shall ask of my Father in my name, he may give it to you." And that's right. Making our calling and election sure falls with that too. Okay, because Yahushua chose us. All right. Yahushua chose us from the beginning, foundation of of the earth. Though when we are part of the elect. All right. So we're gonna put our best foot forward. We're gonna continue to fight for the Lord. All right. If we fall down, we're gonna get back up. We're not gonna give up and go back into the world. It's like we just supporting the Lord and Yahushua, man. All right. The Lord give you this knowledge and this truth. And you going through trials and tribulations and you feel like it's quote unquote too much and you just fall out. You didn't, you did kind of cost and you didn't make your calling in election sure, man. All right. You didn't put your best foot forward, because the Lord always want to see a good fight. All right. The Lord don't like quitters. You see that it get a little bit too hard. You want to quit and go run back to, or and run back to the world and please the flesh. Okay. And you're going to be destroyed for that too. All right, because scripture talking about judgment. Judgment will start at the house of the Lord. Those that know the Israelites. All right. So put your best foot forward for Yahweh Shai. The Lord want to see that. The Lord want to see you earn your crown, man. All right. This is 2 Timothy 4, verse 7. It says, "I have fought the good fight of faith. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, not only to me, but unto them also them that love his appearing." And that's right, man. Finishing your course. If mid course you just drop out, you didn't finish. All right. The things that are things that are waiting for the men. of the Lord if you endure. All right, you're gonna have a crown of righteousness for you. Okay, but you just gotta fight, man. You gotta put on as the elect. All right, so Lord was edified. With that, I want to say a shalom.